my monthly wrap up for the month of June. Yeah, I filmed this once, but I kind of didn't like the way it went, so I filmed it again. And I've read about 3 more books in the time that I filmed that video. The first book I read this month was The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. So this is by the writer who wrote Everything, so I just knew that I would love this book. The story centers around a girl called Natasha and a boy called Daniel, and it is set out on a 24-hour period. So these two people meet over the course of the day when Natasha is going to a meeting to save her family from being deported to Jamaica. So Natasha is an undocumented immigrant in the United States, and she is desperately trying to save her family from being deported, all the while getting feelings for this guy called Daniel, who is going to a university interview. So this story is full of cute and fun wit. It's all about fate and science. Natasha is very reliant on her belief of science, whilst Daniel believes that them two crossing paths is fate. So if you'd like to read this book, I definitely think you should. It's so cute, it's so funny, and I love it. It's one of the best books I've read so far this year. The next book I read was Because of BookTube, and that is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. I already have a full-length review on my channel if you want to see it, but this is basically about a girl called Molly who is very insecure, and she has never had a boyfriend before. She's just had 27 crushes, and a guy starts to take interest in her, and that is kind of just her story of finding herself and falling in love. LGBTQ plus themes, lots of diversity, good representation. I literally love Becky Albertalli for like writing good diverse representation and shit like that, so definitely read this book if you're into LGBTQ. Definitely read this book if you're into diversity and good representation and LGBTQ elements. Next book I've talked about a lot on my channel already, but it's called The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I'm not going to go too much into the plot of this book just because I've already done a review, so I will link the review below. But this book is essentially about a girl called Star who witnesses her best friend get shot by a white cop. So this is about the Black Lives Matter movement and cop brutality in America. There's some black culture and black history lessons in this book. It's just a very controversial, heartbreaking read. A lot of this story is very painful to read, so you may find yourself putting it down to take a breather, but yeah, this book made me cry. So then I decided to take a trip down childhood lane, and I read Wave Me Goodbye by my childhood favourite author Jacqueline Wilson. So this is a historical fiction about a girl called Shirley who is a child in the World War II times. War's just broken out and she is being evacuated to the countryside, where she stays with 2 women who didn't actually volunteer to have any children from London as an evacuee in their house, but they quickly warm up to the children that they're looking after, and it's just a very heartwarming read by an amazing author. So I absolutely love this book. I love the illustrations, if I can, yeah, there you go. I love the Nick Sharratt illustrations of his characters. It's just amazing. I love this book, it's just so cute. So then I was on a Jacqueline Wilson kick, and I've literally read all of her books except for Clover Moon now, so I need to pick that up. But I read Opal Plumstead, which is essentially about a girl whose father goes to prison, and then her life kind of changes and she has to support her family by working in a factory. This is in like the before the war times, I think. No, war breaks out in this book. And yeah, the book's not fundamentally like focused on the war. It's more about this girl and her losing her father and coming to terms with losing her father, and just, yeah. I didn't like this book at first, I'm not gonna lie, but then I started reading it and I really enjoyed it. There is a lot about women rights and all of that stuff, so if you're into like women's rights and feminism and protesting, then I think you might want to read this book. Okay, so this wasn't included in my last video, but after I uploaded that I started reading the first book in this Lunar Chronicles series, and this is called Cinder. So all these books are based on a fairy tale, so they are fairy tale retellings, and this book is, I would say, a loose interpretation of Cinderella. It's about a girl called Cinder who is half human, half cyborg, and basically her friendship with the prince. And in this book, the plague is going around, so this big illness that nobody knows how to treat. They're looking for an antidote to get rid of it. So Cinder's sister actually ends up getting the plague and gets taken away. And the stepmother blames the sister's plague catching on Cinder. I could spoil this book, but I don't want to. I feel like I'm gonna spoil it if I talk anymore. Yeah, I definitely recommend this series. I can't wait to get my hands on Scarlet Crescent Winter, but Cinder is definitely a great book. So the final book I read this month was Pretty Little Liars by Sarah Shepherd. So I felt really sad that the show was ending, and I just knew that I couldn't let it go yet, so I've decided to read the book series. I have to say that the book series is very different to the show, and I guess I really like that. Like, for example, most of the characters are blonde, which I don't get, but I can't help but see Arya as Lucy Hale, Ashley Benson as Hannah, you know, like, once you've watched the show you can't really envision these girls as anyone other than the actress that plays them. But basically this book is about Alison going missing, and then the girls kind of making their way back to each other. So yeah, Maya is in this book, which I'm pretty happy about. It's got like Emily and Maya being friends and discovering their sexuality and their feelings for each other. So I definitely recommend the Pretty Little Liars series. It's really well written. It's a very quick read. I read this in one night, like one sitting, and it's very good. So the last book I want to talk about is Louise Pentland's Wild Like Me. So I haven't actually read all of this book yet, but so far it's really good, and I just wanted to include it in here because I love Louise so much. Like, if you know me, you know I love Louise. So this is essentially about a single mum called Robin who has a young girl called Lila, and it's basically about her life with motherhood, being a single mum, and dating websites, and it's just a really good read. Like, I'm enjoying it so far, so I think I'm gonna do a review on it when I finish, but I love it. So that's it for my monthly wrap up. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, and I will be back next month with another one of these. Namaste bitches.